Did you hear the news about what happened at Yellowstone Park today?
I did not. What happened at Yellowstone?
I mean, after this episode, you're gonna have to Google it and see it for your own, research. But to sum it up, in general, a grandfather was launched into the air by a bison because I guess the bison woke up that day, well, today, and chose violence, and he saw that grandfather, and he basically said, "Catch these fists."
Do bison even have fists?
That's beside the point. And welcome back, everybody, to the best music podcast on all sides of planet Earth. And the way that we measure that distinction is we travel to Ukraine and we go all the way to Uganda because we know where Uganda is. And in addition to that, we take the long way around because we go the extra mile for you, dear listener. This podcast is called Hey, Listen to This. And it is hosted by two dashingly good-looking men who share the same middle name. I'm the one. I am the only. I am the man on the moon, Ryan James Kearns.
And I am the one, the only, I could go for some night swimming Matthew James Durzik, since we're apparently making REM references. And for those of you who don't know what it is that we do here on Hey, Listen to This, we talk about music. Specifically, we talk about an album's worth of music each and every episode. And each week, me and Ryan pick an album to talk about. We go through the album track by track, note by note, line by line, pick out what we like, what we don't like, what we thought could have been improved, what we thought is impossible to improve, and all the nooks and crannies in between. And at the end of every episode, after we have tallied our favorite and least favorite tracks, if they apply, we give the album a rating out of 10, we recommend an album based on the album we just talked about, and we pick another album to restart the cycle anew. So last time we did a full review, we talked about Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen to celebrate the 250th anniversary of these United States of America. Of course, if you're listening outside the United States of America, just, the plain old United States of America. Ryan, what did you think of that album?
I was very excited for the fact that, Bruce essentially got a little bit of redemption. I got a little bit of redemption with reviewing Bruce during our last review. It's definitely going to be a record that I'm going to hold higher than Born to Run for, obvious reasons. My score's higher, and I had a better time. And it ultimately encourages me to check out more works from Bruce, whether that be like Nebraska or Darkness at the Edge of Town, both highly critically acclaimed albums from what I've been able to research. So yeah, that's my takeaway. How about you, Matthew? Are you feeling very patriotic after reviewing Born in the USA, or are you feeling a little different?
Maybe a little bit of both, honestly, because of what Bruce's definition of America is, I very much believe in. Just, again, that was a full band effort more than anything else. Bruce obviously did his share of good stuff on that album, great stuff I would even say, but the band just back to front just sounded amazing on there. So yeah, I very much had a good time too last week talking about that. And you know what? If anything else, good music should make me feel patriotic, because that's one of the great freedoms we have in this country, is to listen to and or make and or review good ass music. And if you're curious to find out what our official ratings of Born in the USA are, you can go ahead and check that episode out once you're done with this one, or right now. We're not going to stop you. Or put in a little playlist, make a Sunday out of it, have a good time with it, just like we had a good time reviewing that album. Now, speaking of good times and albums, Ryan, What are we talking about this week here on Hey Listen This? I did say a good album just because I didn't want to spoil anything, because I don't know what you were going to say, and you don't know what I'm going to say yet.
Absolutely, man. And we're going from American-made music to, well, we're going across the pond on this week's episode of Hey Listen to This. We're going to be talking about an English indie rock band from the Isle of Wight. The band is Wet Leg, and the album that we're going to be talking about is their album that they released, well, last year. It recently had a 1-year anniversary. The band actually released a deluxe version of this album in honor of the anniversary of the 1 year of this album's release. And that album is Moisturizer. So for those of you out there who, are sitting where you are listening to this podcast, whether if you're on a train or on a bus or your boss is talking to you right now, and you might be wondering to yourself, what is a wet leg? Well, phrasing. And in addition to that, if we're talking about the band themselves, let me be the guide to you. Let me show you what the band Wet Leg is and what they're all about, and just give a little bit of a brief overview. They're kind of a newer band, but yeah, like I said, Wet Leg are an English indie rock band formed in 2019, consisting of Rian Teasdale on vocals and guitar, Hester Chambers on guitar. And the band also includes Josh McCauley on guitar and keyboard, Ellis Durand on bass, and Henry Holmes on drums. So the way that the band formed is giving a little bit of a backstory with the frontwoman Rian here. She moved from Thornbury to the Isle of Wight when she was 8. She performed for many years on that island as a musician and a pianist, and prior to forming Wet Leg, she was known as Rian in all caps. So yeah, I can't really emphasize that enough here in my overview. And she was essentially linked to the music scene in Bristol, growing up. So Teasdale and Chambers, the way that they first met was at the stage school Platform 1 College of Music. That's an interesting college name. I mean, my American brain might be just thinking a bit simply there, but I digress. So, yeah, after 10 years of friendship, they formed a band in 2019 under the name Wet Leg. And they were later signed with the Domino Recording Company. For those of you out there who are like, well, how did they come up with the name Wet Leg? Well, there's not really an official, reason. There's several different explanations that have been given for how the band got their name. Rian and Chambers have come up with their own explanation. A former drummer came up with their own explanation. Who knows? I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. But that's beside the point. So, the band's debut single, Chase Lounge, was released on June 15th, 2021, and, gained a lot of media attention for earning millions of streams and video views. So, as the kids say, it went viral. Their second single, Wet Dream, was released September 28th, 2021, and it's at this point a lot of press outlets are picking up what they're putting down, and Variety is quoted saying, "It's rare that a new group releases 2 songs and they're both great." So on November 29th, 2021, they announced their debut self-titled album, and they released it on April 8th, 2022 via Domino. That same day, Wet Leg released the double single Too Late Now and Oh No. So yeah, they're doing touring, and they're doing building up this groundswell that has been given to them due to their online fame. So as a result of everything, Wet Leg received their first 3 nominations at the 65th Grammy Awards, including Best New Artist, Best Alternative Music Performance for Chase Lounge, and Best Alternative Music Album. And they won the latter 2 of those awards. And in terms of the Brit Awards, they won Best New Artist and Group of the Year. So, shout out to Wet Leg for, representing it during the Brit Awards. And at that award ceremony, they performed Chase Lounge with the Prague Morris dance troupe, Boss Morris, and their Morris Best. And so, kind of fast forward a little bit. In March of last year, Wet Leg posted a new photo on their Instagram account with the caption, "We're so back!" indicating that the band was set to return with new music. And later that month, the band performed a secret show under the name... You want to take a random guess what their secret band name was?
I don't know how cheeky they want to be, but I'm going to just go based on what their name is and say Moist Foot.
I'm not even gonna just say close or not even close at all. The name was Uma Thurman. So, if Quentin Tarantino is out there listening to this right now, he might have other opinions about how close you were, but I digress. So, like I was saying, the band played a secret show under the name Uma Thurman at the Green Door store in Brighton, and during which they performed 7 unreleased songs. And the band's lead single for this album that we're talking about here today, Catch These Fists, was released April 1st of last year, 2025, coinciding with the announcement of their second album, Moisturizer, which was released on July 11th, 2025. So, yeah, that's a bit of an abbreviated Cliff Notes about who Wet Leg are, how they essentially gained their fan base, and where they are today. So, before I give my background, my relationship with this band, and the reason why I threw it up for contention, I'm going to throw it over to you, Matthew. Were you familiar with Wet Leg at all before doing this review?
Basically, the answer is no, except for 2 moments in my history as a human being where I became somewhat aware of Wet Leg. And one of them was very, very, very recent. The first of this, and to be completely fair, if it weren't for me killing a little bit of time this morning, just scrolling through things I'd found on the internet, I would have not have remembered this first one. But back in July of 2025, The Onion, the publication that is a satirical newspaper, releases a bunch of different funny articles and headlines. They decided to release their top 20 songs of the week. And if you're curious what a Onion list of top 20 songs looks like, I'll give you a few examples. Coming in at number 3 is Bruno Mars with the song Sex Cadillac Velvet Candle Sex. Number 5 is Morgan Wallen with Slurring Slurs. Number 11 was Hit by a Truck by Billie Eilish. Number 15 was Drake with Wait, I Figured Out What I Should Have Said. And coming in at number 17 in the top 20 is today's subject, Wet Leg, with the titled song, The Song Your Teen Daughter Blares After Slamming Her Bedroom Door. So, that was my first experience into thinking, okay, what is Wet Leg except for that knowledge? I am slightly curious. The other instance of me knowing what a wet leg is, the very recent example, was with you, good sir. As we were coming home from seeing Black Country New Road at the Roxy Theater in McKees Rocks, you were driving, therefore you had control of the music, and you played one of the songs off this album, that being Pillow Talk. And I was listening and thinking, all right. So this is what Wet Leg is. This is what the teens are blaring behind their bedroom doors. Okay, all right. And that's it. That's pretty much all I know about Wet Leg up until doing my research for this episode. So I come into this rather blind. But Ryan, I pass it right back to you. What was your experience with Wet Leg, the band, before this episode?
So when they released their debut self-titled album, I caught wind of them. I listened to it like a handful of times, but quite honestly, it was one of those albums that I was just like, that's nice, and maybe just put in the metaphorical, like, musical freezer that we often talk about in our show. And I never really gave it another spin, to be quite honest with you. Not that it was like a bad album. It was just like, I don't know. I listen to a lot of music, so like, if you don't immediately grab me, I'm not gonna give you another listen. So, yeah, years kind of go on by, up until the point that they released their lead single for this album that we're talking about here today, that being "Catch These Fists." My wife, Jamie, put on the music video for me to, watch and enjoy and listen. And I was just like, okay, yes, ma'am. I will catch these fists for you because this song is rather good. So I was naturally excited for the album to release, and the album released. And can you guess what happened, Matthew?
What happened?
Same kind of thing where I listened to it like maybe once or twice, and I was just like, that's nice. And I put it right in the metaphorical music freezer that we often talk about. So, yeah, kind of fast forward about a year, quite honestly with you, dude, and I go to see the movie Supergirl that is probably just wrapping up its theatrical run in theaters, as redundant as that statement is to make. But yeah, during that movie, I mean, it's a DC movie. James Gunn is the head of DC, so there's going to be a lot of needle drops. And there's a scene within that movie where Supergirl is, at a bar. She's being Supergirl within the context of the movie. And she puts on "Catch These Fists," and she starts just jamming out. And I'm like, wait, I recognize this song from somewhere. How do I know this song? So, respectfully, I went until after the movie was done, and I was out in the parking lot, and I was just like, oh, wait, this is that Wet Leg song, "Catch These Fists." Because, quite honestly, I thought it was Yeah song, which the song I was thinking it might have been would have been "Heads Will Roll," but I mean, I digress. But yeah, I was just like, wow, okay, yeah, I really, really, really enjoy this song. So yeah, I figured, you know what, that Moisturizer album is kind of looking a little lonely in that freezer. Let me pull it out here for contention. And between the two choices at the end of last week's, the last review that we did, you picked Jennifer's Body. So here we are, man.
Here we are. And I kind of love that story because, a lot of times, again, with the Springsteen episode or some other episodes we've done, there's been a strong theme or a bit of a backstory or a subtextual reason as to why we chose the album. But you were just like, hey, I saw this movie, I heard this song, I listened to the album this song was on, and now we're covering it. It's like, all right, I like that. I like that. And I love the spontaneity of it, if nothing else, because it's like, you know what? Let's go with it. Let's party with this. So I am ready to party with some Wet Leg, the band, and if you are ready, Ryan, I'd say we just go right into it with the first of 12 tracks on this 2025 LP entitled Moisturizer, and the first of those songs is called CPR. Floor is yours.
So, CPR was the second single released ahead of the album's, debut. And, yeah, with this song here, you get Rihanna describing feelings of falling in love, fearing vulnerability that comes with it. I mean, you kind of get the repetition of the phrase, is it love or suicide? Is it love or suicide? And for, like, note-taking purposes, I love that repetition, especially with that and how, like, during, like, certain spots of the song, you get, like, the ambulance noises and just the chaotic feeling that you get with that. And it's just so good, man. And then, like, overall, like, this is a very decent way to start off the record. You get solid songwriting structures and, like, great performances. Speaking about great performances, I absolutely love the performance from Teasdale here in the song. It's so good. And can you guess what spot I'm about to highlight here in her vocal performance?
If I were to guess, I'm gonna say it is the bridge before the final chorus.
Let me take a look. So no, it is not that. The section that I'm gonna highlight is in verse 2. Whenever you get the bars, if you're a ghost, then oh my god, how can you give me the chills? The way that her vocals, like, reverberate and she almost sounds like a ghost. My god, dude. That was just so much fucking fun to listen to. I cannot overstate that. Like, she gets comically spooky there, and it's just so good, man. So moving away from the vocals, dude, the bass here from Ellis Durand, like, it is just laying down the groove of all grooves. Like it just, the band's just jamming. Teasdale is just laying down some great vocals, and essentially here within the song structure, you can really tell that the group is kind of writing that loud, soft dynamic that's often attributed to, like, the Pixies styling of dynamics, which, like, that's a fair assessment, and the band throughout this album does, like, run the gamut of, like, influences, and we'll break it down track by track, obviously, but here, like, we're really getting the Pixies influence here to the T. The chorus overall is just really good. Again, alongside the siren noises, like the crunchy guitar riffs, like, just, chef's kiss. Like, it's just a good time for me. I will say, though, admittedly, as much as I did like the siren noises, things do get a little bit messy with, like, all the elements coming together and the siren effects happening. Like, it gets a bit dizzying if you're listening to it actively. So that's what kind of held this track out of, like, a top spot, quite honestly, with you. Like, because otherwise, it could at least be in a cut track territory. Lyrics were solid. The opening verse was my lyrical highlight, where you get the bars. I tied a rope around my waist. I tend to get lost in your eyes. I took a breath, jumped off the cliff because you told me to. Like, here, again, expressing more of a anxiety-filled version of love. And I kind of like that, because yes, in this album, we're going to get other examples of, like, oh, hey, yeah, you're the best. Yeah, you're the bee's knees. But here, it's just like, this is a desperate kind of love, and I love that, man. So, yeah. And another note that I want to highlight here about CPR is the deadpan line of, hello, 999, what's your emergency? Well, the thing is, I'm in love, was a breakthrough for her lyricism, because it allowed her to tackle the theme of infatuation while keeping the band's signature tongue-in-cheek humor intact. So, yeah. It's going in the great song bucket for me. It's a great way to open up the album.
So, my thoughts on CPR, honestly, a lot mirror what you just said. The bass, like you said, is amazing on the song. The entire groove very much was reminiscent for me of something like Hella Good from No Doubt. just that immediate on the floor, shake your ass type of fuzz bass rock-ish groove. Really, really like that. The band sounds great throughout this entire song. The drums sound tight. The guitars are deployed in the right places. And the vocals, like you said, are just really, really good. That repeated line of "Is it love or is it suicide?" and it was just like, whoa, okay, so this is what the band is starting with. This is the first song on the album. You're just going to go, is it love or is it suicide? Okay, all right. Nice to meet you too. Thanks for sharing your name. But yeah, like the vocal performance, I had written down that it sort of ranges from like the brightness of Madonna to the drawl of like a Nico in a sense. Both of which work well. Realistically, for a more modern and less odd comparison, if you think about the performance that Taylor Swift put on The Fate of Ophelia, sort of that same vocal range, maybe not quite as pretentious as The Fate of Ophelia, but that's another review. Go check that out. I really did like that line of, "Hello, 911, what's your emergency?" While I'm falling in love, or I guess it's 999 since they're British. And the way she delivers that line almost sounds like she's having an orgasm, which I thought is just a really, really bizarre way to spend a 999 call. It's just like, yeah, I'm falling in love. Just like, okay, but seriously, what's your emergency? We have medics on standby. Don't piss with us. But in all cases, I thought that was just really fun. And I think this track overall is just really, really fun. A really nice way to introduce, like you said, the band's tongue-in-cheek humor, dance floor-like vibes, very much in the modern indie realm of pop/rock. I personally have it in cut track territory. This possibly could have landed in my top 3, but I think the other 3 songs are just a hair better. But man, CPR is a hell of a track.
Agreed, man. Agreed. And it's just, whenever I've re-spun this album again and again and again, it always gets me in the mood to listen to the album properly, which, quite honestly, is the purpose of an intro track. It's like, quite literally, the appetizer to the album. So, and both of us didn't mention this, within Moisturizer, myself, I only have a top 3. I don't have a bottom anything. How about you, Matthew?
I'm the same way. Top 3, bottom nil.
Now, what would that mean for our bottom scores? Well, we will find out here eventually. In the meantime, Matthew, the next track is Liquidize. The floor is yours.
Thank you, good sir. Liquidize speeds things up a little bit and tends to have a bit more of a modern indie pop groove. And what I mean by that is, with the last song, you got a very 4 on the floor, somewhat fuzz bass, guitar driven sound. Here, the drums are a little bit more tighter, the beat's a little faster, and the bass is pretty much all on its own. Not that the guitars aren't there, but if you can imagine something like MGMT or Foster the People, it teeters closer to that than it would like Foxy's Shazam or something like that, or The Darkness, if you will. So the band, once again, though, does sound really, really strong. And I thought the vocal performance, once again, was very solid, although this is the first of many times throughout this album where I noticed the mixing was a little off. And I say this with the following disclaimer. The first 2 times I listened to this, or one of the times I listened to this, particularly the time I was writing notes for this, I was listening through my phone. When I was listening in my car, everything did sound a little bit better, so as always, depending on your speakers, your results may vary. But it didn't feel like the vocals were a bit buried in the mix and I couldn't quite hear them as clearly. But whatever parts I did hear clearly were very, very nice. Particularly how, once again, we remain on this subject of love or whatever, where the discussion is, hey, what am I doing being in love with you? What is wrong with me? And it just touches on that theme very, very strongly, and it just has, again, a lot of the tongue-in-cheek, very point the finger at you, then point the finger back at me. Either way, I'm going to point a finger at somebody because I don't feel completely comfortable with all this type of discussion. And it comes across very angsty, very funny, very tongue-in-cheek, very wry, just very, very humorous, intentionally or otherwise. So, yeah, liquidize, ultimately, though, it didn't quite have the same oomph as CPR. It did have a lot of the same elements, which I liked, but it felt like CPR was a lot catchier and a lot more innovative. Not to say that Liquidize is a bad song by any means, because it's a solid song. I'm going to throw Liquidize in the good song bucket. Like, it keeps up the momentum of CPR, but goes just a step back just a hair, in my opinion.
And I feel like with Liquidize, I'm a bit higher on the track than you. And, like, it's kind of an interesting sequencing choice to go from CPR to Liquidize. But I think with, like, this kind of sequencing choice, the band's, like, exemplifying the fact that, hey, listen here, buckaroo, we're going to be switching up styles a lot here in this LP. So buckle up, man. Get ready. So, but yeah, just going over my thoughts and feelings about the track as a whole. You were right on the money with the whole tongue-in-cheek kind of like, indie pop kind of like aesthetic here, because that's basically what you get here throughout Liquidize. However, gonna zoom in on Teasdale's performance again, and the way that she's just playing with rhythm during the verses is just so cool, man. Like, most noteworthy is the way that she sings "Love struck me down. The fuck am I doing here?" Like, whenever my ears heard that, I'm like, oh man, that's candy. That's straight up candy for my ear holes. So yeah, again, shout out to Rihanna and her vocal delivery. Still 2 for 2 in performances and just unique, executions. The moving away from the vocals, I really was digging the guitar tones in this song, especially in the chorus. And yeah, like at first I kind of had to check myself before I wrecked myself, because I was just like, wait, what is that instrument that I'm hearing in the chorus? Because it sounded like very just different. And yeah, it's just an electric guitar being run through some effects, like overall, like effects-driven guitar work. Most notably an elbow, effect pedal. So yeah, the chorus itself is pretty solid, very playful. I very much enjoyed that marshmallow worm line, because again, you talked about this in your overview of the track, but again, we're talking about love here once again with Liquidize, but here the playful nature of it is mainly like, oh, this is kind of like a high school kind of like young love, like playful love, like, hey, I'll be your marshmallow worm. Like, again, I very much enjoy the presentation here overall. And speaking about presentation, dude, the way that the song ends with "Love struck me down, the fuck am I doing here?" and it just cuts out. Dude, that was very cool. Like, especially if you're zooming in. So, I already exemplified the fact that, like, I feel like the lyrics are really good. Verse 2 was my lyrical highlight, with the lyrics reading, "You say I'm lonely, and you say I'm worth it all. I look you dead between the eyes, and I say, I know you are, but what am I?" Like, again, like, I very much enjoy that. It's a clever twist on the "I know you are, but what am I?" but within the anxiety-filled portrait of love that Rihanna and the group is portraying. So, yeah. Liquidize, not in a cut track territory, not in a top 3 spot. I guess I'm kind of putting it on par with CPR in the great song bucket, like just one step below the cut track territory. Side note, one day we should fully flush out all the buckets that we have here, because I think I made new buckets, but I never really stick to like a proper rating system. But I digress.
I mean, at this point, it's just a closet full of buckets where we just decide, we'll go with this one and put that in there, and then organize it, and then put it in the storage container and empty the buckets and get them back out for next episode. But yeah, ultimately, I agree with you that Tisdale's vocals and just her sense of humor throughout this track, really throughout this whole album, honestly, spoiler alert, is very tongue in cheek, very unapologetic in how it almost kind of reminds me of that picture of Daniel Radcliffe. I forget what movie or show it was, but it's that meme picture of him in the fuzzy slippers, the bathrobe, holding two guns in either hand. This is basically the vocal equivalent of that, and I mean that as a compliment. So, yeah, it's just pure chaos from start to finish, and you're a little higher than me, but I still appreciate this track for what it was. So, with that being said, I am ready to pivot over to the track that inspired this review, that being Catch These Fists. And Ryan, how much will recency bias play into your evaluation?
We will find out here, my dear friend. So, a little bit of backstory about Catch These Fists before I get into my thoughts and feelings about it. So, Rian has said that the song came from the harsh contrast between feeling safe at, can you guess a modern pop girly who Rian was at a concert for?
Modern pop girly. Let's see. They're British, so I'm just going to use it to say the educated guess of Charlie XCX.
Incorrect. Chapel Roan. So, yeah. So, yeah, like, the song came from the whiplash effect that she had from between feeling safe at the Chaperone concert and then suddenly feeling unsafe again minutes later in a nearby bar. So, yeah, just again, just to put it into context here, because this song, it's a great song, but it's a song that very much takes like douchebag men to task. But when we get to those lyrics, we will. But going over my thoughts and feelings about the song as a whole, dude, this song just plain rules, plain and simple. Like, it's a good time every single time I listen to it. Starting with the most obvious thing, for those of you who've heard the song, it's that guitar riff. Like, it's just so good. We get a lot of, like, you know, post-punky dance kind of vibes here with that guitar riff, and it's only complemented by the drums so fucking well. So, like, the instrumental performances are on par, on fuego. There we go. I'm going to use that term going forward. But, yeah, outside of the instrumental performances, again, hats off for Teasdale and her vocal performance, especially in the softer parts. Like, the line where she's talking about being asked out and then throwing up in her mouth. Dude, I every single time I listen to that, I laugh. It's just so good, because you can imagine, like, you know, what she's trying to portray. Like, she's just trying to be out with her friends, and she's enjoying the drink, and like some douchebag guy is just like, hey, you know what? Yeah, you're my type. And she's just like, dude, I'm just here with my friends, man. But yeah, I just love that line, that performance so well. Speaking about, like, you know, instrumental performances and like vocal performances as a whole, like the way that the pre-chorus in this song was structured, it was so good. Like, it basically acts as like a hype up, like, you know, chant spot there, because you basically get like the band grooving on the beat that they're laying down, and you get Teasdale being going like, yeah, man down, and then yeah, level up. Like, again, always a good time for me. Very much yeah inspired, pun slightly intended, but yeah, the chorus, so good. The industrial post-punk groove is so strong in the chorus. Lyrics are fantastic. And once again, just to fully flush out that one line that I highlighted earlier, my lyrical highlight was in the bridge. And it reads, "This always happens late at night. Some guy comes up and says I'm his type. I just threw up on my mouth when he tried to ask me out. Yeah, don't approach me. I just want to dance with my friends." Again, you can really picture what's going on there. And, like, it's a song that's very necessary in the modern age of our Lord 2026. And it's a song that has a great message, a great beat, excellent performances. The song is basically my type of song. I hope that doesn't make any, front women from this band here throw up in her mouth. But, as for me, this is my third favorite song off the whole record.
Third favorite. Number 3.
Third favorite, correct.
Fair enough. And I will start by saying that I get it because... you talk about that post-punk groove. I originally had this listed as something that reminded me of the Electric Six of all bands. Maybe a song like Danger, High Voltage. But realistically, now that I think about it again, the pure example of what this sounds like for anyone who hasn't heard Catch These Fists is a song we talked about probably a good year ago, maybe not quite that, but the final track off of the 59 sound by the Gaslight Anthem being... the back seat. Very much a similar groove to that as you get here on Catch These Fists. And I will say that the band performance is good. We will come back to that in a second. Because the guitar is just slashing over the place and the drums are working very, very, very hard. And I agree that Tisdale's performance is once again very good. She once again toys between the exuberance and also just the very inward ideas of just sort of staying true to herself, whether it's, wanting to fight somebody or just try to feel safe and dance with her friends. Like, she is very much honest on this track, and I very much appreciate that. And I was kind of lumbering on whether the lyrics were sort of a metaphor for maybe wanting to fight in like a sexy way, but the more I listened to it, the more I realized, no, that's not it. She is literally just ready to fight a dude, which, hey, I understand, especially in the case of this. I guess I had been skewed because the other two songs were about being in love, possibly, so I thought maybe this is the same here, where she wants to be loved, but at the same time she wants to fight. No, she just wants to fight on this song, for sure. However, the one thing I cannot squeak past with this song. I mentioned that the band does sound good, and they do. Or at least their performances are good, but they would have sounded a lot better if the mixing wasn't just a little bit off in my ears. Because as much as the guitar sounds good, the drums, for whatever reason, the performance is good, but the hi-hat in particular is mixed so high, and it's so pitchy and out front, that it kind of just buries the rest of the song underneath it. And again, I feel like that's more of a mixing choice. I understand this is supposed to be a loud, like, fight song, but I feel like they could have maybe balanced out a little bit more, have more of the snare or the bass out front to make it seem a little bit more punchier. So if they had remixed it, honestly, this could have landed at least a cut track territory. But that one did sink it a little bit to the point where I have to relegate Catch These Fists to the good song bucket. Catch Me on a Good Day, I might put in the great song bucket because there are a lot of great elements to it. But as far as just listening to it purely and wholly, it's not up there with the rest of it for me.
And that's fair, man. I feel like within our, show's history, whenever the mix is slightly off and, your ears, that's something that you point out. And for a little bit of a contextual sake here, the producer for this album was Dan Kari, and he's an acclaimed producer who has worked with Fontaines DC and Black Midi. And for those of you who aren't familiar with those bands, they're basically kind of a mixture of the post-punky elements that the band's going for as a whole. And then Black Midi is just, well, they're Black Midi. It's kind of hard to define their sound. They are definitely, I guess, I would just point, a basic, genre descriptor there. Industrial. So, yeah, I respect your opinion. Obviously have a different take on it, but, yeah, tomato, man. It's all good.
Fair.
And, here's the thing. You're not coming at it from, nope, this track sucks because of the mixing. It's a bottom track. So like, it's just a contextual take. But anyways, I think it is time for us to move on to the next song. If you're ready, the next song is Davina McCall.
So with Davina McCall, we start with an instrumental backing that honestly seems pretty similar to that of Liquidize, very much in that modern indie pop sheen where you have the guitars, which are mostly acoustic on this track, particularly at least at the start, along with that very loud drum chugging. And it does feel like the drums are mixed a little high again, but it's nowhere near as disruptive or in your face as it was with Catch These Fists. So already the song does sound a little bit better. And so too are Tisdale's vocals. Her vocals seem to be a lot more out front with this song based on the mixing. And it does come across a lot clearer despite the loud production. So I very much appreciated that. And what really made this song stand out for me, at least from a chronological track standpoint, is that this is the first song on the album that seems to be pretty much happy. It is lyrically and spiritually the most positive and optimistic song so far. With Catch These Fists, we had the want to fight somebody. With Liquidize, we had, I'm in love, what on earth am I doing? With CPR, you kind of had that, but in a very joking and, oh well, c'est la vie type of just throw caution to the wind type of vibe, which wasn't 100% like pure bliss. Here, it feels like just the pure bliss of being with somebody. There's no panic, no cynicism, no fighting. And what helps establish this to be a bit more optimistic is just how it sounds too. Because we get the vocal harmonies on the chorus, which I think helps sweeten the song a little bit and help reiterate that this is much more of a positive, uplifting song. So, yeah, ultimately, my thoughts on it are very similar to that of Liquidize, but I'd say I'm just a hair higher on Davina McCall just for the sheer improvement in subtle little areas. That being said, I'm going to put it in the great song bucket because ultimately it didn't super stand out to me, but there was, again, no bad parts of it at all. This is a good song.
And I feel like with Davina McCall, you said you were slightly higher on it compared to Liquidize. I feel like I'm the inverse, man. I'm slightly lower on it, and that's an interesting contrast. But by no means is this a bad song in my opinion, because it's very much a good song. The song is just pretty chill overall. It's very pleasant to the ears, and shout out to you for identifying hey, this is the first truly happy song, because yeah, we had Catch These Fists, which was an anti well, I don't want to say anti-man, but it was basically I feel within this album, and we get two modes that we explore. We get either A, men suck, or B, I'm in love. And for the most part, this album does deal with more of the latter of those two options. But with Davina McCall, we get more of I'm in love and I'm happy about it, you already correctly identified. And we get a lot of fun bars. The one bar I want to highlight coming right out of the gate is the line about sipping on Ribena, fuck that Coca-Cola. That's a great line, man. And for those of you who aren't in the know, Ribena is the UK equivalent of Coca, basic Coca-Cola, generic Coca-Cola. Hey, this is the real stuff. We don't want to deal with that artificial kind of love there. So I love the metaphorical comparisons there. And also, while I'm just going through the bars as a whole, because I will talk about the song structure, the performances as well, but just the one thing that I really enjoyed lyric writing and song structure wise as a whole, which is kind of be hybrid of what I was just talking about, is just the flow of the lyrics from one section into the next. So one section I wanted to highlight that executes this flawlessly is in the pre-chorus where you get the bars, "I'd go to hell and back just," and then you get right into the chorus, finishing that thought being, "to spend an hour with you." Like, for me to hear that and for that flow to be executed, like, again, candy to my ears, man. I absolutely loved that stuff. Shout out to the Shakira line. That was just a lot of fun. Like, in the middle of this chill ass song, you get bars that read, "Oh, I'll be your Shakira whenever, wherever." Like, I was just like, oh, okay. That song's basically a vibe, and this is a vibe too, man. So, and overall, though, I agree with you. Rihanna Tizo, like, her vocals sound pretty solid throughout the song. Another lyrical highlight that I have here is in verse 2, which is, "We won't even care if we get shitty weather. Oh, 'cause you're like the sun." So, like, despite external circumstances, that person that you're in love with is just brightening up everything. So that's an excellent bar within the framework of a happy love song. One thing I do want to highlight, though, is just at the very beginning, I love the sonic foreshadowing that you get with the instrumentals, where they play the melody and the vocals come in and essentially mirror that melody. Like, again, I love that. It's a very purposeful, like, songwriting choice, and it always makes for a good time. So, yeah, Davina McCall, I guess in hindsight, I'm kind of putting it on par with Liquidize after kind of gushing about it here a little bit.
That's fair. That's fair. I will say that both those songs tend to have the same vibes, at least on a musical or sonic sense. I think, again, Davina McCall was just a hair higher on the musical front, but I would say maybe Liquidize was a bit higher on the lyrical front, although, again, the Shakira line, like you said, is just amazing. And yeah, it's a bit of a contrast between... This almost feels like the prequel to Liquidizer in a sense, because if this song is about being in pure bliss, the song is that same vibe, but also with the awareness of, wait, who am I and what have I done with the real me? So, but ultimately both are very good, and both help maintain this sort of not just sonic momentum that the band has built throughout the album so far, but also the lyrical and thematic momentum of, teetering between being in love and also not being in love and perhaps wanting to fight somebody. So, yeah, I very much appreciate Davina McCall, and I think ultimately we both do. So I'm ready, if you are, Ryan, to move on to the next track off of Moisturizer. Yet another one that inspired this review, because it is the one I chose at the end of last week's episode, which is Jennifer's Body.
So, yeah, given some context about Jennifer's Body before I dive into this song here. So, yeah, with this album here so far, we've talked about a lot of love songs. So, in interviews for this album here, Rihanna has spoke about writing love songs as a whole as a new direction for her after realizing her own queer identity and falling in love with her now partner, whose identity she keeps private, which, good for you. Like, we all, deserve our peace and everything. But, Rihanna's quoted saying, "It felt important to me to write love songs to my partner, who is not a man, they're non-binary. It just feels so different. I think writing the songs is me just exploring and figuring out how I felt about love. And yeah, I just think queer love in particular is just so interesting to me because there's no blueprint for it. I feel like there are no rules in a queer relationship. There are no rules, no kind of preconceived things that you subconsciously absorbed along the way. It all gets rewritten when you are in a queer relationship, I think. So, yeah, so at this point in this review, we want to identify wholeheartedly that Rihanna is writing from a queer perspective and her partner is non-binary. So, yeah, it kind of does put some context in here because, yeah, quite honestly, it does. It's a necessary context because looking over the lyrics right now, the one bar I do want to highlight is in the chorus. You get the bar, can't you see that I'm obsessed with you? Want a man? I'll pretend for you. What's a guy like me to do? Like, for her to write that bar and kind of flip gender preconceived notions on its head, again, hats off. Like, that's excellent lyric writing right there. So, but getting into the song's nuts and bolts as a whole. So, the one thing that I was reminded of right away out of the gate with this song here is the way that the band just locks into the groove, and everyone's locked into this groove unanimously. It kind of reminded me of like Paranoid by Black Sabbath, because everyone's just locked into a key. And it's not the first time I've compared songs to Paranoid by Black Sabbath, but yeah, it was just a noteworthy thing for me. But like that groove that they lock in is just so good. And the way that guitar just sounds in the song here is just pretty awesome. It's just so fun to listen to. Really enjoyed the strip back section towards the back half of the song. The melody is just so strong there, and it's a good songwriting choice, because yes, you could have drove that groove until the cows came home. However, for the band to choose to open up the song and strip everything back and just have like a strong melody in there, yeah, that was pretty cool. Lyrics are pretty awesome overall, and I kind of already talked about the one section here that was my lyrical highlight, and that was in the chorus, can't you see I'm obsessed with you, want a man, I'll pretend for you, what's a guy like me to do. So yeah, just overall, this song here is it's really just such a good time for me. So cut track territory for me, dude.
Okay. I will say pretty much a lot of things you said. Like, I wholeheartedly agree with you. The way that the song starts is great, because you have both the band and the vocals coming out, stepping in time together. And it just very much shows that they have the chops to be in sync with one another and just show that musical part full force. I will say, again, it seemed like the vocals were getting just a hair lost in the mix, but this time I think it adds context because, again, she's in with the band and they're all just trying to do the same thing all together at once. So it doesn't have the same oomph as some of the other songs in that regard, but it's for a purpose, and I very much respect that purpose. And yeah, ultimately the band does sound very good on here. The drums and guitar are just really, really nice, and Tisdale's performance once again is very nice. It edges between sort of I wouldn't say euphoric, but definitely loud and soft. Like, she uses her dynamics really well on this song. And to me, the lyrical highlight you pointed out with the obsession line, to me, that's what really stood out about this song too, because I did not know about the issue of the addition of queer themes and non-binary themes. But even if I hadn't realized those, I still understand what obsession is, and that line is so obsessive. And what makes it even better is that, unlike the rest of the song, the band kind of falls back to make that line really stand out. So I very much appreciated that too. They're not stopping, but they're definitely pulling back so that line shines through. And that was to me the highlight of this song, because it is a song about obsession, and I have not seen Jennifer's Body, but I do know some things about it, and pretty apropos title. So for me, I'm going to put Jennifer's Body in the good song bucket because it is a good song.
Yeah. And also, you were talking about, Obsession. Side note, Obsession, good movie. Not for the faint of heart. but it's a good movie, and speak about like horror movies as a whole. But yeah, without any further ado, I think we just keep this gravy train rolling and get into the final track off of side A of the album and this review. And Matthew, it is your turn to talk about mangetout. Are you ready?
Mangetout, is that how it's pronounced? I'm pretty sure.
Well,
I was going to say, my pronunciation would have been "man, get out."
Well, actually, I could be wrong, but in the in the song proper, like she does like lean into that French pronunciation. But it, like, you know, it is, dear listener out there, you don't know what the song is. Like it's basically "man, get out" squished together.
Okay. I did not realize that mangetout was a possibility. So, instead of tomato, it's man, get out, mangetout. But in any case, this song, I've talked so much about other elements to other parts of songs throughout this album, whether it's the lyrics on Catch These Fists, or the bridge on Jennifer's Body, or the optimism of Davina McCall, or the dance groove of CPR. Here, it feels like this is the first time everything truly comes together. And again, not that any of the other songs are bad, but this song, man. First of all, the groove is very similar to that of CPR. I would say maybe even a little bit brighter and a little bit tighter. Because you do have, again, that fuzz bass and the guitars just sort of stepping in tandem, making a very gliding but also very danceable beat, and the drums are right back there with it. Just the whole band sounds just like very in sync with each other once again on this track. And Tisdale's vocals and the lyrics, boy, I'll tell you what, man, like, this track is just so fun because the way that her vocals go from just the most preening sarcasm you can think of. Like, if you compare this to something like, I don't even know what a good example is, like Man-Child from Sabrina Carpenter. Like, it's very much the same kind of condescension, but I would say it's even sharper. Like, when she says, "Good job, you get an A+." Like, I don't even know this person. I feel the daggers go into my skin. Like, damn. Like, it is just brutal front to back. And it is oozing with just relentless sexual condescension, where she is just saying, you know, like, "Ooh, you think I'm pretty? You think I'm pretty cool? You want to lay me down? Well, I just hope you go away." It's basically the inner conflict of Catch These Fists set to a more danceable background and a much more overwhelming worldview of sorts. The harmonies when she says "get lost forever" really kick. And also, a little secret that they throw in there, the hand claps whenever they say that too also work. And to me, I know I mentioned Sabrina Carpenter, but this is like if Sabrina Carpenter sang a song that was written by Olivia Rodrigo. Because it is just very, very just relentless and demeaning, and in a positive way for artistic sake. Because basically whoever this guy is, he doesn't deserve the love, and for all his trying to be the suave Lothario that he is, there's nothing that's going to contend with Tisdale's basically saying, "Good job, you get a gold star, you did it. Now please go away forever." Like, there are so many female artists out there I feel would kill to have a song this vicious. And I really, really like it a lot. And we have finally cracked my top 3 with mangetout, in parentheses, "man, get out." And I have it at number 2 in my top 3.
Good job, man. You get a gold star for your dissection about mangetout.
Thank you. I very much appreciate what you're saying there.
Sorry, the door was wide open.
I know.
But yeah, no, quite honestly, I like whenever you do the comparisons to saying like, hey, this is basically like if Sabrina Carpenter sang an Olivia Rodrigo song, like my mind kind of blew up there. So sincerely, great job, dude. So, but yeah, mangetout, like coming right out of the gate, this kind of reminded me of like early 2000s indie rock, like very much like meet me in the bathroom kind of area, like sleazy kind of indie stuff there. So so I'm very much liking what's coming right out of the gate, and like just little moments that I want to highlight before I get into Teasdale's performance, because dude, there's a lot to sink your teeth into there, like you already highlighted. But the way in this track where you get multiple spots where the guitar is just matching Teasdale's vocals note for note, it just makes for a delightful listen. Like the section, the part I kind of do want to highlight, because like at least coming right out of the gate, verse 1, you get nice try, like the way that she delivers that, you get the guitars mirroring that underneath her. Like again, love that. Speaking about love and my appreciation for this track here, I'm probably just gonna gush about Rion Teasdale here for a good bit here. So if you allow me to indulge myself here, like the way that she's singing this part here, like you highlighted your section. I'm glad that you highlighted your section, but for me, like it's whenever she gets into like the chorus as a whole, because you get the bars and it's just the way that she delivers it with such sarcasm, such like venom, and such like, hey, you know what, this is like the fuck you energy that most people need in 2026. So shout out to Rion. But like the bars, I'm just gonna get to the chase here, are you think I'm pretty? You think I'm pretty cool? You want to fuck me? I know most people do. Here, take this packet. You read it. It says, mangetout. I gave you magic beans. I hope you're going to get out soon. Like, the way that she, again, delivers that is just god tier performance, man. No notes, man. Like, and even in the switch up in the last chorus, where you get everything kind of flipped on its head, where she starts singing, but still in the same kind of performance. You think I'm pretty? You think I'm pretty cruel? You say I scare you? I know most people do. This is the real world, honey. Beyond they knew. In spite of everything, I guess there's just no getting through. Like, I'm left in awe with like the lyric writing, the performances to a T, and like the repetition of the "Get Lost Forever" in the pre-chorus, just the way that everything comes together, especially with the hand claps, it just lands so well in my ears. I know I already gushed about a whole bunch of lyrics here. Lyrics are amazing, but one other thing I want to highlight is in the bridge where she's singing, "You're washed up, irrelevant, and standing in my light." That's basically Rihanna being like, hey, you know what? Douchebag guy who's like a washed up indie rock star, get the fuck out of my way. It's my turn now. And you know what? I agree with her. It's my favorite song off the whole record. I fucking love this song.
It is an absolute banger of a track. Again, it's just vicious. It's catchy. It's, even if you weren't paying attention to the lyrics, which you should, because they are brilliant. Just the way the band sounds too is just fantastic, and everything just clicks so well throughout this track. And it really, after all the songs that came before it, like this was the one that really was like, oh, okay. So all the best parts of the other songs come together as one. Yes, more of this, please. So yeah, mangetout does not need to get out. It can stay.
100%, man. Now, before we kick it into the back half of this review here, And, as much as we want to stay in this moment and ride the vibes that we've gotten with the first half of the record as a whole, especially with how it ends off with mangetout, we must take a second, take a breather, because Matthew, I have a question for you.
Oh, all right. And what is that question, Mr. Kearns?
If the dear listener out there right now, whether they're sitting on their couch, sitting on a bus, or talking to their boss, is listening to this episode here right now, and they're really much enjoying what we're laying out here to them here, talking about moisturizer by Wet Leg, and they want to help show some support for what we do here on Hey Listen to This. That way we can keep pumping out content week in and week out. What are some ways that they can help do such things? And in addition to that, connect with us on other platforms. And if they really want to be the ultimate champion of Hey Listen to This, and they want to push through that Phil Collins review in terms of a listener request, and they want to be the son of man, how do they get that accomplished here, sir?
Well, let's start from the beginning. If they want to support what we're doing here on Hey Listen to This, the easiest way to do that is continue listening to this. And the way to do that is to find us on your favorite podcast platform. We are on several of them, including the likes of Pocket Cast. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts, and we are on YouTube as well. So if you like using YouTube just in general, or specifically YouTube Music, you can use us. You can use those platforms to listen to what we do here on Hey Listen to This. So that's one way that you can help support us. And another way is if you're on any of those platforms and you like what you're listening to, give us that like, give us that 5-star rating, leave a comment telling us what you thought about the episode, and let us know that you were there to experience what we were talking about. So we very much appreciate that as well. Now, let's say you really like an episode and you want to share with somebody, but you're not really sure who that somebody is. You're not sure who would be into the likes of a Wet Leg, or a Toledo, or a Sabrina Carpenter, or a Los Campesinos, just to name a few examples. Well, fear not, because you can cast that wide net on the internet, because we are on social media. You can find our page on the likes of Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads, and if you're looking for us, the username is ttheylisten. That is ttheylisten. Or if you just want to go the old-fashioned route and look for our full name, our full government name of Hey Listen to This, you can do that too. You can find the blue icon with the black microphone in the middle, and that is where you'll find our episodes uploaded each and every week. But speaking of TT Hey Listen, last but not least, if you want to reach out to us directly, but you do not know us directly, we have an email address that you can reach us at, and that is ttheylisten@gmail.com. Again, that is ttheylisten@gmail.com. You can use that to leave us some positive feedback, some critical feedback, or, as Ryan suggested, earn that title and be that champion by requesting that Phil Collins review. Or, if you're not feeling like holding a trophy, you can request another review, because we have done reviews by request in the past, and we would love to do so again. So to recap, we are on the likes of YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Pocket Cast, or wherever your favorite podcast platform is. If you're looking for us on social media, we are on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. And if you want to reach out to us directly, but you do not know us directly, you can do so at ttheylisten@gmail.com. And for those of you who have done any and or all of those things throughout our first 130 plus reviews and then some, thank you. Again, me and Ryan are just two dudes who love talking about music. We're not sponsored by any major podcast network. We're not here to sell you auto insurance. We're not here to sell you pills for your prick. We are just two dudes who love to talk about music. And from one dude to another, Ryan, as always, thank you so much for being a great co-host, handling my weird non sequiturs, and talking about music each and every week. It's been fun, man.
Absolutely, and the compliment goes right back at you, man. I love doing the show week in and week out with you because, like, this week, for an example, I'm a little bit more familiar with Westlake as compared to you, but both albums were in the metaphorical musical freezer, and for you, you were like, oh, yeah, they're a band, and I listened to like one of their tracks when we were coming home from a concert. So yeah, I love it. And like, there's been plenty enough instances where the roles have been reversed, where I've been basically like, yeah, I know Muddy Waters is a musical artist, and yeah, that's about it. So it's just drawing a quick example, but yeah, I love doing this, and we make a good team here on Hey Listen to This, and yeah, and also like Matt said, dear listener out there, thanks for being along with us every step of the way. Like Matt said, we're just pretty much a grassroots campaign, and yeah, I just say we keep this campaign rolling, and we keep just rolling into the next song here, the next song off the record, opening up side B of the review and the record as a whole, and that song is Pawn Song. And yeah, just for me, this is probably, we're probably getting into the section of the album here for me where there's not a lot of meat on the bone for me to really digest, but that doesn't mean it's not a bad song by any means, like within Pawn Song here specifically, because I feel like this song's pretty good. Like, with this song here, you're still very much riding the dance post-punk vibes, and this song is basically kind of like a grower. Like, the progression of the song is pretty nice. The group just kind of builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until the band just rips into it. And it kind of reminds me, again, we're still pulling from the early 2000s, like indie sleaze, Meet Me in the Bathroom era kind of indie rock there. Like, again, a band that I'm referencing again is going to be like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs as a whole. But yeah, it's still a good song overall. The performance from Teasdale is pretty solid. She switches styles pretty well within Pawn Song, and the guitar part at the end is pretty cool. Nothing too crazy about it, honestly, but I appreciate it. The lyrics, though, are crazy good. Like, the lyrical highlight I have here with Pawn Song reads, "When I dipped my dogs into the pond of your mind, I finally found God. When she made you, she was making art." Like, again, we're again in the vein of love songs, but when we have such strong lyric writing as that, like, dude, again, hats off, love the lyric writing, so good. But overall, though, with the overall song package, it goes into the good to the great song bucket for me. It's a pretty good song.
Yeah, I very much appreciated the strong groove from the band at the start. Again, very mid-2000s indie, very, again, heavy on the fuzziness of the stringed instruments in this song. Very much dug that. Again, very much in the vein of, I don't know, like a Kings of Leon or something like that, as far as just how very up-tempo and fuzzy it is. I would even maybe throw the Black Keys in there, just for the kind of vibe that the band has on this song. The drums don't sound quite as loud. The guitar work here is really, really good. I did appreciate that. I did notice that the vocals on this track, compared to a lot of the other tracks, especially mangetout, seem to be a lot more further reverbed out. Like, there's a bit more of an echo to Tisdale's voice, which I thought was kind of weird at first, but the more I listened to it, the more I appreciated it. It definitely added a new sonic flavor to the whole piece. I will say you are right that it does build, but the problem is with the reverb being what it is, it definitely felt like the band getting louder and louder and, increasing their volume until they just rip it, like you said. Um, it does work, and the band does sound very good towards the end of the song, but it does kind of throw Tisdale's vocals in with the mix instead of having everything just sort of be grandiose at the end. But I didn't really hate that as much. I just noticed it. And ultimately, Pong Song, just on a sonic level, this is like on the higher side of songs where I've said this before, if you're not paying attention, it sounds good. Because in this case, if you're not paying attention, it sounds great. But if you are paying attention, it still sounds pretty great. So I'm going to throw Pong Song into the great song bucket because it's a really nice performance and a solid way to kick off side B.
Agreed, man. Agreed. And will we still have those vibes, those feelings, with the next song here, Pokemon? Will we catch them all in terms of all the vibes with this song here? Sorry, I had to work that in there some way, somehow. But Matthew, floor is yours. Talk to me about some Pokemon here.
Let's see, Bulbasaur, Venusaur. The actual song. Okay, never mind. Pokemon. This song, the groove is a lot more hyper than Pong. Maybe not a lot more hyper than Pong Song, but the vibe is a lot different. Like here, you get pretty much just bass and drums at the start, and a little bit of synth in there too, and it feels very much right at home with like early 2000s, maybe even mid 2010s indie pop. And I'm just gonna come out and say it. I friggin' love the groove on this song, man. Like it's just so like balls to the wall, 100 miles an hour. Like you don't get a lot of guitar crunch in there, but I didn't really mind that as much. And to me, like this song is right up there with Davina mccall as one of the more positive songs in the album. And I would say it's even a lot more positive than Davina mccall. And the hook. Can we talk about the hook on this song? You want to go for a drive. I don't want to take it slow. You want to go for a drive. Isle of Wight to Tokyo. You want to go for a drive all on our own. Like, this is just not just pure romantic bliss, but this is pure escapist pop in like its most pure form. And it just sounds like, it almost kind of reminds me of if like Phoebe Bridgers were to go pop. Because the last time I heard a song like this talk about Tokyo, it was off of Punisher. Or, talk about, being out in the Japan area. Like, this is kind of what that reminds me of, but it's a lot happier and it's a lot more punchier and has a lot more drive to it. And you get the bridge where Tisdale's just repeating, all on our own, all on our own, all on our own. And that repetitiveness is balanced with a very strong musical build underneath. You could hear the band just adding little bits and pieces here and there, a little harmony here, a little bit more drums here. And it just groundswells, so it gets right back to that chorus at the end. It just works so damn well. Like, this is the track, I would say. It was tough. I will say it was very tough between this and mangetout. And Catch Me on No Day, mangetout might have taken the top spot. But Pokemon, I choose you. This is my favorite song on the album.
Obviously a little lower on the song compared to you, but I very much appreciated your dissection about it because, quite honestly, this pretty much was on the lower end of my appreciation in terms of what this song was bringing to the table. But it's not a bad song by any means. But I don't know. The more I think about it after hearing your dissection about it too, like. It's slowly rising in the ranks, but let me get into my thoughts and feelings about it. So, coming right out of the gate, you described the song pretty much as like indie pop, kind of like light kind of indie pop. I kind of went into like a city pop kind of feel, like almost like K-pop, like if I can draw that comparison there. The vocals overall are pretty playful with melody on the verses, and like they pop so well in the chorus that you already highlighted. Like it just like within the because you already talked about the chorus as a whole, like how the song opens up. You get lost, like the repetition of that, and like even before that in the intro, you get the ooze. Like lands so well on my ears, man. It's always a good time for me to hear that on the vocal front. Chorus is like, I agree with you. It's pretty nice. It lands so well on the ears. And one section I do want to highlight here, little bit of a sonic painting here, is the section where you get the giddy up, you want to go faster, and you get the drums switching up the beat. Like, I couldn't help but smile when I heard that. That was just a clever moment in songwriting there. Lyrics aren't bad, but overall though, like, we're this far deep into this album, and I kind of feel like we've explored this kind of subject before, and I like, quite honestly, the lyrics overall aren't the main feature of the song. It's more of the vibes. It's more of the sound that the band is going for. I will probably have to revisit the song just to kind of focus in on the bridge, though, because you highlighted a different listening experience with the bridge as compared to me, because I kind of thought it was a nothing burger. Like, I was just like, the bridge happened. Do you want to go for a try? Like, just the way that it landed on my ears. But yeah, I'm walking away from Pokemon, not catching them all, not choosing it, but I'll put it in the good song bucket, man. It's a good song.
That's fair. And yeah, I will say that as much as I like this song, it's probably the least wet leg song on this album, which is kind of weird to say. Like, it's musically, it's right up there because, again, the vocals are great, the band sounds great. But if you played this and ask what band this is, I'm sure you'd probably get a lot of wrong guesses. But for it being, again, mostly hook and all vibes, like, I know that something like mangetout was probably a lot more lyrically depth and has a lot more sarcasm, but just inject this right in my veins, man. Like, this is the kind of song that gets you a ticket on the speedway because you're just pedal to the metal, enjoying the living hell out of it. So I very much appreciate it. But I understand where you're coming from too. And again, we didn't have to ring the bells at 5 o'clock, which is always a nice time. So pivoting over to the next track, and the glasses are already coming off before I even said the title. The track is called Pillow Talk. Ryan, this one's going to be good.
Oh my god. This song. It's wild, dude. Like, that's the best way that I can describe it. Because, like, even without getting into the lyrics as a whole, because I'll get into them. But, like, just the influences that I'm hearing within Pillow Talk, they range, honestly, from, like, Nirvana to, like, Queens of the Stone Age. And for this band here, Wet Leg, who we've already, like, previously just heard them do, like, a K-pop number with Pokemon, and also, like, you know, pretty chill stuff, for them to pull off a song like this, mother of God, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, who is this band? But, just getting into the nuts and bolts about the song, because, yeah, I'm just gonna dive right into it. The lyrics are so wild and horny here. Like, plenty of examples for the dear listener out there to really pick and just chew on, just dissect in their own time. But here's a perfect example that I got here in terms of, like, the horniness here. You want to eat me? I'll be your carrot. Are you a bunny? I'll let you have it. And for those of you who aren't aware of the double entendre that Rian Teasdale was executing here with the term bunny, Google that in Urban Dictionary. Yeah, you'll be more educated, because I had no idea, but, you know, it's just an interesting thing to think about. But, yeah, diving more into the lyrics, though, like, the opening verse, like, is just structured so well, and it's accompanied by this focused, like, you know, like, punk rock kind of beat. Like, that's the best genre descriptor that I can throw out there for you. But, like, the opening verse goes, Every night I hold my pillow, I wish I was holding you. Every night I kiss my pillow, I wish I was kissing you. Every night I lick my pillow, I wish I was licking you. Every night I fuck my pillow, I wish I was fucking you. Like, the way that it comes across, I'm like, okay, I respect it. Horniness is there, but I respect the lyric writing and just the substitution of the verbs with the interaction with the pillow and like this desire to do that with this significant other. Getting into more of the Nirvana influence, like the loud, soft dynamics between the chorus and the verses, executed very well. Like, I very much appreciated that. And the way that the chorus hits, man, oh man, it's just straight up candy to my ear holes. Like, again, I just love it so much. The instrumental sounds so good. The basses sound so thick, like thick with like 4 C's. Like, it's just so good, man. I had to check my notes for that. And again, hats off to Rion Teasdale for her performance here. It's just simply amazing. And honestly, one other thing I want to highlight about Pillow Talk before officially declaring it into my top 3, because, yeah, you kind of probably already guessed that. Getting back to the chorus, the guitar riffs in that chorus sound something like the Queens of the Stone Age would do. Like, it just reminds me of like that, like, you know, desert punk rock kind of vibe that they go for, that sludgy kind of vibe. So yeah, Pillow Talk kind of took me by surprise because, quite honestly, I thought Catch These Fists was going to be my second favorite track off the record, but in Afterglow of like listening to this album multiple times, I'm like, no, I enjoy Pillow Talk more. So yeah, it's my second favorite track off the record.
Yeah, you highlighted my lyrical highlight off of this song with that first verse, the way that it has that build from holding the pillow to just straight outright having sex with the pillow. Like, that was insane in of itself. And you talk about how this song sounds like Queens of the Stone Age. I listened to this through my phone, and I was listening through YouTube, and I did see a lot of comments say that this was like Queens of the Stone Age. I don't disagree, but another band that I thought of, and this is going to be a bit of a weird comparison, but just because I remember this song so well, Joy Division, and particularly that one song off of Closer that had that very, very crunchy riff that I really appreciate. That's what this song reminded me of a lot. In that sense. So I very much appreciated, once again, the band just really locking in with the crunchy guitar, the drums, and everything just stepping in time. And the way that Tisdale not only is very, very, very horny on the lyrics, the way that she says it's just pillow talk on the chorus is just pure condescension that we have not seen since, well, mangetout. And it's just very much like, if the other songs are directed at the idea of a significant other, whether it's someone that they're in love with, or someone that they're trying to get out of a relationship with, or someone they want to fight in a bar, like, it tells a story in that regard. But to me, her saying it's just pillow talk is like her breaking the fourth wall to like anyone who's just like, holy crap, are these lyrics? And she's like, yeah, they are, but don't worry, it's just a little pillow talk. Nah. And I'm just like, all right, I'm here for it. You know what? You got me. It's great. And the whole song is great too, man. Like, it just, again, it chugs along with an unrelenting groove, and Tisdale's use of dynamics is once again great. And it is a hell of a shock from going from the smoothness and the upbeatness and the almost sort of wholesomeness of Pokemon to a song that is very much none of those things, but still very, very enjoyable. Much like you, I am completing my top 3 with Pillow Talk at number 3.
High five, man. We did it, Joe.
We did it.
Oh, man. But yeah, it's just... you're gonna make me want to re-listen to Joy Division again. So Thanks, I guess. Well, yeah. Well, I did very much enjoy that album, like a lot. And dear listener out there, if you're kind of curious to hear about, like, our thoughts and feelings about that album, scroll back some, search through our catalog. We reviewed the album closer. So yeah. But anyways, we must progress within our review of Moisturizer by Wet Leg, and the way that we do that is we have to speak about the next track, and the next track is Don't Speak. Matthew, the floor is yours. I see what you did there.
I was going to say, how long is it going to take to catch on? It's like, is he frozen? No. I was just doing what the song said, which is Don't Speak. But in all seriousness, I will speak about Don't Speak, which is a title reminiscent of a song by No Doubt that was a lot more popular some 30 years ago. Remember 30 years ago? And this song, however, is less reminiscent of the sound of No Doubt and more reminiscent of the band Garbage, which was Shirley Manson's band in the 90s. It definitely has a lot more of a post-punk, 90s alt-rock feel to it. And I very much appreciate what the band was doing here. It does sound really, really good. Although I will say at this point, the groove that they establish is somewhat familiar. Like, we've heard this on the likes of Liquidizer and Davina McCall. It's a very good groove, but at the same time, it didn't really surprise me or show me anything new, nothing that I haven't already learned. Not that's a bad thing. It's just what it is what it is. And overall, I thought that Tisdale's performance was quite good. The only thing that really hampered this song for me is, once again, the mixing. Because here you have Tisdale doing a bit more of a whispery, sort of very hushed vocal, very whispering but loudly type of vocal, which I did think was a nice change. But once again, the band is mixed very loudly, and again, I was listening to this through my phone when I wrote these notes, so again, in the car it did sound a little bit more bounced out, but when I listened to it while writing these notes, I did notice that those hush vocals didn't stand a chance against the rest of the band for being as loud as they were. Again, they sound great, but they just drown her out depending on your speakers. So, again, take caution when listening to a song like this. And ultimately, though, this song, for better or worse, it's fine. Like, I didn't really have a whole lot else to say other than that, because, again, I may have just been still recovering from the shock of Pillow Talk. But Don't Speak's a solid song overall, and I'm going to throw it in the good song bucket because, yeah, it's Wet Leg. This is the first song where I could say it's Wet Leg and just, come to understanding that that's what this band sounds like. So, yeah, it's a good Wet Leg song.
So, for me, I'm a little bit lower on this track compared to you. Whenever you were talking about, like, Teasdale's vocals not standing a chance against the the production and the mixing here, for the first time in this review here, I agree with you. Like, the mixing in here is pretty awful. Well, not awful, but like, so far within this review, I've gushed very glowingly about Rian Teasdale's vocals and her performance. Rightfully so. Like, amazing vocalist, amazing lyricist. Like, going forward, I'm gonna be checking out her work and the band's work as a whole, because of that would be one of the many factors here. But with a song like this here, where how the vocals are recorded and produced so soft compared to like what the rest of the band's doing, you're basically taking all the personality out of her vocals. Like, and that kind of sucks, dude. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. And also within this song here, like, the song overall is just, it's fine. Like, I kind of feel like, for me, like, this is one of the only tracks here that we get into album track territory for me. Like, everything's basically just vibes here, like, throughout the whole song. And, like, the vibes here, they're pretty chill, but we've already heard, like, other songs within the album here so far. Like, liquidize or davina mccall, where like we're going into the more of the chill mode, but we can provide a nice song structure alongside that. Here with Don't Speak, it's just like you're kind of not allowing the band to speak to their songwriting capabilities. So, again, I'm gonna stress the song is fine, but I expected a little bit more out of the song from the band. Like the solo section is decent here with the guitar. It sounds pretty good. Like the guitar overall, though, lyrics are decent to good. I don't really have a highlight here because we're getting it's basically another love song, which that's not a bad thing, but we've had very good lyric writing within this album here so far, especially in those quieter songs where there's lyrics that have just blown me away. Here, not so much. But yeah, just overall though, like with this song here, it's basically a nothing burger. It's just like, it's fine. If you're not paying attention to it, it's a song.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is with me too. I'm right there with you. I know it's a good song, but as far as good songs go, we've had plenty of songs on here that were better. So I'm going to relegate this to album track territory like you, because again, it's not that it's a bad song. It's just that we've already done this twice, and those 2 times were better, and that's not compared to the real big knockouts like Pillow Talk, Pokemon for me, Catch These Fists for you, and Mangetout for both of us. So yeah, Don't Speak, not a bad listen, but also not a standout listen by any means. So we are now pivoting over to the penultimate track off of Moisturizer, the 11th track of 12, and appropriately enough, the track is entitled 1121. Ryan, the floor is yours.
So yeah, it's interesting that with the previous song, Don't Speak, I kind of talked about like more softer, chill kind of vibes. Here, it's a different kind of vibe, but it's more still on like the chill kind of section here because the tempo in this song here is slow all the way down. I love that here because like we've gotten plenty enough songs here within the record here so far where we get chill soft rock kind of vibes. Here it's more down tempo kind of like just like kind of like soulful kind of stuff, and I very much appreciate that. So with this tempo change, we get Teasdale's vocals being very much exposed, and dude, she just sounds so good. Like, I very much appreciate what's being thrown at to the listener here with the vocals here. So, hats off to her for that. The bass sounds so good here in spots where it does become the focal instrument. It's just, with a song here where the tempo is slowed down and with a bass being able to, like, replicate, just such an awesome part. Hats off to Alice Durand for their work here during this song here, like it's still such a good performance, and the contrast between the 2 verses, it's pretty fun. Like in verse 1, like I'll highlight the opening bar in the verses. It's not like the birds fell from the sky when I'm not with you, and in verse 2 you get, it's not like the moon forgets to shine when I'm not with you. So I kind of like that, the mirroring of the verses there. It's clever lyric writing there throughout the song. The vocalizations at the end of the song sound really, really good. And again, like I highlighted, the lyrics are really good. The verses are basically a mirror, like I already said, but completing out verse 1 as a whole. But it feels like they just might, if I just sit around here waiting for you to return upon the setting of the sun tonight. And again, here we're getting another example of like, kind of like, I want to say anxiety-ridden love here, because you have to compare it like the imagery of birds falling from the sky when this person's not with you, but it kind of feels like they might. So yeah, it's a very interesting song, and I very much appreciate it. And for this to come at like the penultimate moment in the album. It's just interesting for me, and I very much appreciate it. So I'm putting it into the great song bucket for me.
Yeah, I very much appreciated this track too for a few reasons. First of all, you're right. This is much more of a slow burn track, and it's nice to know that they can do a slow song because everything else they've done up to this point was either mid-tempo or fast-paced, so they just decide, hey, let's switch it up and slow it down. And they do it very well because the band, once again, sounds very, very good. I did appreciate the choir-like vocals on this track, but they were delivered in a bit of a twisted way. Like, so whatever angelicness of typical choir vocals, they decided to just bend it a little bit. Not the last time they will do that on this album. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, yeah, I did notice, too, that we get what at first I thought was a reed instrument towards the back half of this song, but in reality it may just be a synthesizer set to a reed setting. But I did appreciate that little texture towards the end too, very poppy, very almost kind of jazzy in a sense, at least considering what this album is. That's probably as close to jazz as you're going to get. But to me, what really stood out about this track was not just Tisdale's vocal performance, but her vocal phrasing on one line in particular. And that is the line, "I love you like nobody else." She delivers that in such a bizarre way that is sung very soulfully. It's very guttural as far as like just vocal technicality. But the way it sounds, like, this is probably the most... It's either very, very soulful or very, very, very sarcastic. And knowing what we've gotten so far from the band throughout this album, I'm willing to bet it's sarcastic. Like, this is Tisdale going, "I love you like nobody else." And that could either be a giant warm hug or a big middle finger. Pick your poison in your interpretation of that. But yeah, it is very much the part where I was just like, whoa, that is a fierce interpretation of that line. But overall, this song's solid. I very much appreciated, again, the switching up in pace, the switching up in vibes. And overall, again, it just expands the band's musical territory. So I'm probably a slight step down from you on 1121. I'm going to put in the good song bucket.
I have a theory about the vocal delivery of the "I love you more than anyone else." For those of you who have seen Obsession, you know what I'm talking about. Where, like, you know, hey, it becomes more of a possessed kind of love, and it's just like a frantic kind of love. So, like, you might sincerely be like, "Hey, I love you more than anyone else." Like kind of like a scary kind of love, but that's just my 2 cents on that, man. Why don't you bring us home, man, with the closing track here with "You and Me at Home."
You and Me at Home. And after one track of slow burn band material, the streak comes to an end. We get right back to up-tempo, mid-tempo town with this track, and once again, the band sounds great. Particularly the bass on this track, I thought really was very good. Definitely has an indie dance groove that relies on this bass, and it delivers from start to back. And ultimately, this song pivots back towards positivity territory. You have a very strong hook with the repeating of that title of "You and Me at Home" again. And yeah, it's a little on the repetitive side, but it works. And what I really did sort of notice about the hook too is that the harmonies make it feel like a very much a pop song in structure. Like, this isn't, you know, trying to be like Catch These Fists or Pillow Talk. Like, this is supposed to be on the popular side, like closer towards Pokemon, which I appreciate, but I also know that this band isn't fully trying to go for bliss on this track or on any track aside from Pokemon. So if you notice, a lot of times in the chorus, you'll hear harmonies that don't quite sound as sunny or poppy as they should be. They sound a little twisted or warped, and I 100% gonna bet that was on purpose. That was the band saying, okay, this sounds a little too fun and poppy. This sounds like a Carly Rae Jepsen song from before she was Carly Rae Jepsen. Let's twist it up a little bit. Let's funk it up. Let them remind us we have a sarcastic note, and it's exactly what they do. So that is deployed very, very well. And yeah, it does have some odd vibes throughout because, again, there are times where it seems a little too poppy for its own existence, but it works pretty much throughout the entire song. And it's just a nice little closing finish on this roller coaster of an album where you go from the violence of Catch These Fists and, to be completely honest, Pillow Talk, to the smoothness of Pokemon and, in a sense, 1121 as well, just from a vibe standpoint. Here you get a bit of that blend all together. It's not a completely homogenous blend. There are some lumps in there that do stick out, but even a lumpy mix can taste good sometimes. So yeah, I'm going to put You and Me at Home in the great song bucket to close things out with.
Yeah. A lumpy mix could be something good to enjoy every once in a while. Anyways, sorry that little section kind of got me, but yeah, for me with You and Me at Home, very interesting way to close off the record because yeah, just the way that the chorus comes across, like because I'm gonna zoom in on that right away. It almost seems kind of comical for me for them to go with a big gang vocal. like again, we've reached the point in the record where we're concluding everything off, and it's just like, hey, this is the ultimate destination. We've talked about love. We sprinkled in a little bit of taking men to task here with a couple of songs within the record, but mostly this has been a loving kind of record, through many different kind of shades and different kind of avenues to express that. But here it's just like, hey, if you didn't like that, here's a big fucking chorus for you. I hope you like that. So, but yeah, once again, vocals from Teasdale are very solid. The way that she plays with melody during the verses is just really, really good. Like, it's just so playful. Like, just verse 1, the way that she sings, You and Me at Home Again. Like, it just sounds so good on the ears. Obviously, I'm not a vocalist like Rian here, but again, still excellent performance there. The distortion that you get from the band during the chorus is a great touch. Like, I very much appreciate what was going on there. And also, instrumentally, the bass is doing a solid part during the verses. If you zoom in on that and hear what's going on there, it's just so playful. And the instrumental break was, it could have been better, quite honestly, if they would have brought out one of their guitars a little bit more, so you can hear it a little bit better. But it was still, okay. Lyrics are pretty solid and pretty much straight to the point about domestic bliss as a whole. One bar that kind of got me was 2 bars real quick. End of first one, baby, we're just sewn again. Funny how that goes. I'm over everybody else. Happy, comatose. And then in verse 2, the way that it ends is, now we've been stretched around the world, over land and sea, and there's this big elastic band that pulls you back to me. Talk about domestic bliss there to a T. I very much appreciated that. But yeah, it's just a very, very fun way to end off the record as a whole. I very much enjoyed it.
I did too, man. It's a weird choice considering what this band has done, but a lot of this record has been weird, and I don't mean that in a bad way. So for anyone to expect what they were going to do at the end would have been a mistake, because this band is just not afraid to showcase their musical muscle, their spiritual muscle, and their lyrical muscle in any way they desire to please. So Yeah, for this to be their closing track, odd choice, but ultimately I dig it quite a bit, and glad to know that you do too.
With that being said, Matthew, I can't help but notice, and the new listener out there as well has probably noticed this if they're keeping track at home. Coming into this review, we've had 12 tracks up. 12 tracks have been smacked down. Scorecards have been filled out. So there's only one thing left to say about this review.
We did it.
We did it, man. We went up to Wet Leg, and they gave us some moisturizer, and we told the story about it. So I'm gonna let you go first in terms of your thoughts and feelings and overall ratings with this album here.
All right. Yeah, this band, this album, very, very interesting, but ultimately very, very enjoyable. Like, I was not sure what to expect aside from the little teaser of Pillow Talk that I got coming home from the Black Country New Road concert. And honestly, I don't even know if that was enough of a sampler because, again, this band has the tendency to go all over the place. Like, the main consistencies are just the sheer talent on display, whether it be the band rocking as hard as they can, occasionally slowing it down, occasionally popping it up and smoothing it out. But ultimately, they don't sound bad for 1 second throughout this entire album. The mixing is a little questionable at times, but that's not the band's fault. That's just an engineering thing. Ryan Tisdale throughout is delivering every single ounce of good vocal talent she has. She has the range from the low register whispers to the high, very melodic type of blissed out vocals. Very much appreciated her throughout. And you get some really fantastic tracks like Mangetout, Pokemon, Pillow Talk, CPR, and everything else falls between, a very solid performance to one that almost could beat out any of those 3 tracks on a given day. So yeah, like, this is a band worth checking out for sure, and I very much appreciate you bringing this to the table. I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 just because I thought there were a few songs that did kind of teeter in ordinary territory, but overall, man, it's a strong album. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
And for me, for an album that I put in the metaphorical music freezer, as we've described here, I'm very glad that we were able to pull this out of the freezer, and we talked about it here on this week's episode of Hey Listen to This, because you want to take examples of like this band's range as a whole. You go from Pokemon to Pillow Talk to Davina mccall. Like, just those 3 songs, if you listen to them back to back to back, it's just like, there's no way that this is the same band. Like, it sound like the vocalists sound similar, but there's no way that this is the same band. But it is, and that's a testament to the band's songwriting ability, their musicianship. So yeah, and again, I'm gonna wax poetic about Ryan Tisdale's performance. Captivating. She's instantly become one of my new front women, and rock today, and even just a rock vocalist and the lyricist as a whole, because plenty of examples throughout this review I've already shouted out about her lyric writing. And just, again, if you just want to zoom in on one song specifically, again, go listen to Mangetout. Like, that song fucking rocks. It's just so good overall, and the band just rocks overall as well. And as much as I want to give this album a perfect score, I cannot, because of just the one song in here, Don't Speak, being kind of a nothing burger. And for me, like, a perfect 10 out of 10 album has to be like, if Don't Speak would have just been just a hair better, or just at least a little bit more passable in terms of my appreciation, this would have been a 10 out of 10. But I'm not going to docket so many points for that. So I'm going to give Moisturizer by Wet Leg a beefy 9.5 out of 10.
I was gonna say the fact that you made me go first made me think this could be a spicy one. This could be a beefy one, but as it is, you gave it a 9.5. I gave it an 8.5. So the math is pretty easy despite the decimals, and it averages out to a 9 out of 10 for moisturizer because
math
works for everyone. It does not discriminate. It is literally just numbers. So going from the factitious nature of numbers to opinions, my next album recommendation based off of Moisturizer by Wet Leg is an album that I have only listened to once in full, but I really want to go back to, and I think this album sort of falls in that same category. And it's by an artist I've mentioned earlier in this podcast. That is Olivia Rodrigo and her album Guts. Very much in the same high-octane rock pop sheen, a lot of confessional songs about love, a lot of different vibes of just the band rocking out. It slows down in certain spots, and it was the album I thought of first when listening to Wet Legs. So Guts by Olivia Rodrigo it is.
And for me, a couple different ways I can go about doing this with the next album recommendation. I could recommend It's Blitz by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, because I've already talked about them ad nauseum here in this review. However, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to keep it easy. If you've enjoyed Moisturizer by Wet Leg and you look for something else, just go back to their debut album. Check it out. I mean, it's like they definitely evolved their sound wholeheartedly with Moisturizer, but just for completion's sake, go check out what made them famous in the first place, what gave them their fan swell, their groundswell, their fan base as a whole. And then you can get a complete picture of like how this band went from their debut album to Moisturizer. So yeah, that's my next album recommendation.
After all, if you're appreciative of one wet leg, what's wrong with two wet legs? That's what I always say. So Ryan recommends Wet Leg's debut album. I recommend Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. Lots of body parts to choose from. Based off of Moisturizer, which we gave an average score of 9 out of 10. And yeah, man, wow. For something that, like you said, was in the musical freezer, I gotta say, you picked the right time to pull it out because it's pretty hot outside, and what's better than a nice cold treat from the freezer on a hot summer day like this?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's just, it gets me, like, pause to, like, really reconsider, like, other albums that I've kind of put into that freezer, because if I put this album into the freezer and I pulled it out and I had such a positive experience with it, and as did you, what else is in that freezer that I've ignored? Like, do I need to, like, I can't even think about it. I have to go back into, like, my Bandcamp history or, like, just my musical history as a whole. But existential anxieties aside, we've officially got done talking about Wet Leg and their album Moisturizer. Maybe one day here in the near future, or like some ways down the road, we might talk about their debut album or their next album whenever it comes out. But I digress, Matthew. There's only one more thing we have to settle up before we officially tell this review to catch these fists so we can put it into bed. Where are we going next week on Hey Listen to This Man? What do you have cooked up for us?
So, I guess it's appropriate that we've just been talking about the musical freezer, because I would say these albums up for contention all fall into that category for me because I've only listened to them once a piece. Other things they share in common, they're all from the year of 2026, and they are all by female artists. I will give you that much context in of itself. And also, funny enough, our last two reviews have been from either America or the UK, and either is a possibility with the next upcoming review. So, Ryan, I have 3 options for you to choose from with our next review. And the way I'm going to have you choose what we're going to be talking about next is based off of a featured artist that appears on these respective albums. Are you ready?
I'm scared. I'm ready. I think I know what one of those featured artists is gonna be. But proceed, Matthew.
Okay. All right. So the 3 albums that are up for contention this week are, again, based off of these featured artists. And they are John Cale, Miranda Lambert, or Robert Smith.
Man. I know the Robert Smith record because, you know. And, man. You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. Picking Robert Smith.
So Robert Smith it is, and I think you pretty much know what that means as far as the album we're going to be talking about. So it is an artist that, once again, I have mentioned earlier in the podcast. In fact, I mentioned her just a few minutes ago in my album recommendation. But it is now time to talk about her latest album. The album that we're going to be talking about next week here on Hey Listen to This is by one Olivia Rodrigo, and that is her 2026 release, You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So in Love.
Oh, man. This is definitely an album that I listened to once, and I said, hey, yeah, it's not for me. And I put it into the metaphorical music freezer. So, but the album has with the Robert Smith inclusion, it's drawn a lot of comparisons to The Cure. So, I'm excited to deep dive into this album. Who knows what can happen, man?
Yeah. Hopefully your opinions of Olivia Rodrigo have not fully gone into disintegration. But we will find that out next time on Hey Listen to This. So, dear listener, if you want to follow along with us, give a listen to that album for yourselves so you can have opinions and then have opinions about the opinions that we're going to have in discussing Olivia Rodrigo's latest effort next week. But before we do that, Ryan, anything to say to close us out on this episode of Hey Listen to This?
Well, until next week's episode of Hey Listen to This, with all the questions I have about Olivia Rodrigo's new album and my feelings about it, I'm just here asking myself, will next week's episode be love or suicide?
Hopefully one for legal reasons.